really good to see Troy Corser back.
Oh, it's great, you know, great for Australia, and also it's so far so good. He's got the pole position, won the Superpole, so we can only keep our fingers crossed.
Well, qualifying here yesterday was quite interesting indeed, as a matter of fact. Let's have a look at the highlights now. In the second and most important qualifying session, the main objective was to finish in the top 16, and in doing so would be a part of the all-new one-lap Superpole session that determines the starting order. 2 times World Superbike champ Carl Fogarty began the session well and set the early pace.
You can always tell when Fogarty's having a go, because he, especially when he comes into a corner, he's sort of, the way he sits up from the tank, you know, sits up, you've got your chin on the tank, obviously going down the straight. The way he sits up to brake, you know, he seems to become sort of 6 foot tall on a bike. I'll tell you what he's
ADVF Ducati rider Troy Corser continued to impress with his smooth, consistent style and push the times down. Troy Corser has just posted the quickest time with a 1:35.830 from local Ducati rider Craig Connell was as high as 6th fastest until becoming one of the few riders to fall during qualifying and had to settle for 13th.
Oh, that's a Ducati. I don't know whose it is.
Kawasaki's Akira Yanagawa made a late charge from outside the top 10 to 7th and consolidated his position in the top 16 for Superpole. Castrol Honda's Aaron Slight had been at the top of the timesheets ever since pre-season testing, and nothing had changed, but the Kiwi was about to be relegated. Great work by Aaron Slight, a 1:34.563, and now that has eclipsed his qualifying time from last year, and so he should stand it up on the back wheel. 23-year-old Japanese rider Noriyuki Haga showed that although this is only his 3rd World Superbike round, he's ready to be at the front of the pack and posted the 2nd quickest time.
Oh, and my money would have to go on this geezer. Haga on the Dunlops.
The newcomer to World Superbikes pushed right to the end of the session, but couldn't match the 1:34.251 set by Australia's Peter Goddard. Goddard quickest.
Goddard, yes.
A 1:34.251. Well done, Peter Goddard. After several hours break, it was then time to create history with the all-new Superpole format for the top 16. After a warm-up lap, each rider had one flying lap to give their all in an attempt to snatch pole position. The time is now officially on for Pier Giorgio Bontempi was the first out, and the new format obviously agreed with the Italian as he moved from 16th up to 9th. As he comes onto the Wayne Gardner main straight and flashes across the line, Bontempi's time is a 1:35.549. Kawasaki's Neil Hodgson had a disappointing qualifying session with only 14th quickest time, and unfortunately for the Brit, things remained the same in Superpole, 14th fastest. 21-year-old Aussie Mark Willis turned heads on his Ansett Air Freight Suzuki in qualifying with 8th, but the Superpole format didn't agree with the Narrabri youngster, slipping back to 13th. There we go.
Yeah.
1:35.996. He's better than Hodgson, Whittam and Petticini, but nowhere near as good as what he was this morning. That's disheartening. Ducati dealer team Steve Martin held steady. The Victorian a slower time than his qualifier, but was able to remain in 12th. Now, Martin gets a little bit of a tank slapper going, but he's much, much smoother. We'll see how he goes across the line. Can't quite get there either. Martin's teammate Craig Connell was expected to fire after an impressive run early in the second qualifying session, and the determined Queenslander just missed out on the top 10, slotting into position number 11. Let's hope. Oh, beautiful slide out of the top.
This is the problem for Craig, you see. He doesn't know 35.9.
Oh, didn't get there. 1993 World Superbike champ Scott Russell isn't having the best time at the island, and the American is quite open about his dislike for the fast Aussie track. After being 11th in qualifying, he moved the Yamaha up one position better to start in the top 10. Not only was Australia's young gun Mark Willis dealt a savage blow by this controversial format, the Japanese star Noriyuki Haga was one to feel the full force of the blow as well. The factory Yamaha rider was relegated from 2nd to 8th, filling the final position of the first 2 rows. Across the line he goes. Time starts now. I was saying before, Barry, a significant moment for Suzuki. They have only ever had one pole position in the history of the World Super, so Peter could put himself on the map here.
I think that pole position was who? Poland, wasn't
Doug
it?
Poland.
Right, well, we've just got to watch and just look for lack of mistakes, really. Mm-mm, 0.3 of a second, that's too much to make up.
Wow.
I can't see him making it up.
What a fairy tale story for Troy Corser.
Yeah,
his
really.
return to the World Supers, and he would pick up his 10th pole position. But we're focusing on Peter Goddard at the moment. Can the New South Welshman do it? He's got to get a really good run around this big sweeper and onto the main straight and charge hard down to the line. It's a big ask to make up 0.3 of a second in that last quarter of a track. But he's smooth. He's been smooth all lap, and he gets a great run onto the main straight. Peter Goddard, how will he go? 1:34.971 is the time to beat. Doesn't do it, so he is way back in 7th position. Fogarty was in the 1:34s this morning, so if he can pull out a time like that, even a flat 1:35, he'll be looking good to get ahead of this bunch. Ooh, back end a little loose there, coming through Siberia. If he can't better Akira Yanagawa, he's going to be very disappointed with himself because he was quicker than the Japanese rider this morning. Let's see what the 2 times World Superbike champ has got in store for us with half the length of the main straight to go. Little bit of a back-end wiggle down there. Pulls to the centre of the circuit. Across the line he goes, and he does it. Well done. 6/600ths of a second quicker. Pierre Francesco Keeley on track now, and 3 more. Aaron Slight, Noriyuki Hagar, and Australia's Peter Goddard. From 16th down to quickest from the previous qualifying session. 1 lap and 1 lap only. You've got to make it work, and you've got to make it good. Keeley looks good at the moment. We'll see how he goes on the split in comparison to Troy Corser. He's quicker by 0.002 of a second.
Oh, yeah, really. Just have a look at the back end now. This is where you can give it a handful and get it sideways and waste all your time. No, nice, real smooth.
1:34.971.
I think he's got it.
We'll see what Pierre Francesco Keeley can do. He's not there at all.
No, boy. Now watch here. Too much power here and you get the thing sideways and lose all your run onto the straight.
He's done well. He came onto the main straight nice and smooth. Will he get there? No.
Whoa.
So Aaron Slight doesn't make it pole position number 7 for his Superbike career. So here we go. We're on board.
On board. Get a load of this.
Troy Corser down the main straight, heading up towards 270. We'll see what speed he does. 279, so he's quick. Equaling Colin Edwards' quickest time. Now that was much quicker than Carl Fogarty.
Yeah, and when you look at, when we were watching yesterday, you look at the 2 fastest guys through that right-hander were, without any shadow of a doubt, Aaron Slight and Troy Corser. You know, visually quicker.
Coming out of the southern loop through this very fast sweeping right-hander, heading up towards the slowest corner on the track.
Now watch the back ends.
They keep doing that just to trick you. Out of Honda corner, Troy Corser looking smooth at the moment. Carl Fogarty's time of a 1:35.186. We'll wait for the split to come up. There is the split time of 56.80 of Carl Fogarty's. We'll see if Troy is under that. Gotcha.
Yes,
by 2/10.
0.2.
The last 2 riders we've seen, they've made up in excess of 1/10 of a second from here to the finish line. Now Corser is almost 0.3 of a second quicker. The crowd are cheering, they're yelling. The Australian, wouldn't it be great to see him put it on pole position here at Phillip Island for his return to the World Superbikes?
Right, now just watch, make sure there's no sort of sideways thing. It's the most important bit, this last little bit. You watch from the back here, get a good drive out of here.
Bit wiggly onto the main.
Fine, no problem.
Down across the line. I'm sure he's going to get there. He does.
Corser rocks.
Well done. It's fantastic news, though, for Australia's Troy Corser, who picks up his 10th World Superbike pole position. Congratulations to Troy. Aaron Slight on board the Castrol Honda is in second. Pierre Francesco Keeley, Corser's teammate, in third. Carl Fogarty fourth. Akira Yanagawa on the Kawasaki in for fifth. Castrol Honda's Colin Edwards in 6th. Peter Goddard back in 7th. Pete will be disappointed with that, but a good effort nonetheless. Noriyuki Haga in 8th. Pierre Giorgio Bontempi in 9th. Scott Russell in 10th. Craig Connell 11th. Steve Martin 12th. Mark Willis on the Ansett Air Freight Suzuki. He'll be disappointed with 13th. Neil Hodgson 14th. Jamie Whittam in 15th. And Lucio Petticini in 16th.
Troy, you're the first ever Superpole man.
Yeah, it's I still don't totally agree with it. You know, I mean, it's a tough thing to do, to go out there from the grid and from the pits and come on the start straight and pretty much think, right, I've got to do a lap time here to put me somewhere on the grid.
That's what I was thinking. You know, people really don't understand how you sort of, it's all right in a race, you know, you're psyching yourself up, or during practice, you're qualifying, you go around 3 or 4 laps, but you do 1 lap to get your tyres warm, and then that's all there is to it. That's it, you've got to do it.
Yeah, it's just so much to lose, you know. Myself, I braked a lot early and pretty much, not every corner, but just corners where I know I can go a lot deeper. Example, Honda corner here at Phillip Island. It's so easy just to go in just a little bit too hot, and you overshoot to start that corner and you're going to be on the 4th row. And that's just a lot to have in the back of your mind while you're out there trying to do a lap to be on the front row, you know. And so it's just too much. You're thinking too much about things, how bad it can actually turn out if you actually make a big mistake, more or less.
So you at least earned yourself $3,000.
Well, I hope it's that much.
They could have given you a gold watch, couldn't they?
Well, yeah, for sure. It's, wouldn't mind like a Rolex or something like that, maybe. But we'll see. Maybe this will introduce some more sponsors, and maybe they'll give us some more money or something, or maybe a Rolex. We'll see.
Well done, anyway.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Troy Corser back in Australia, back in the World Superbikes and back on Ducati, and he's on pole position for the 10th time in his career. It's great.
Well, it is good, you know, and if you had any money, you'd have to put